I saw a post earlier today that was talking about, actually, it was on a Marfan site, and it was talking about our symptoms and issues being shown on a TV show called The Good Doctor. It's not something that I typically watch. I watched like the first season maybe, and it wasn't for me. However, I went on and got it on demand so that I could watch it. Typically, I would record snippets or, portions, whatever it is. But it was very, very spaced out. So that wasn't something that I wouldn't want to watch. So I wouldn't think you want to watch it. So I just made notes. Okay, so basically this lady, she comes in and they do know that she has a aneurysm. So they go into surgery to try to fix this aneurysm. While in surgery, she starts bleeding out of all orifices and nosebleed, all of the things. And then her carotid arteries, both of them blow. Okay, so needless to say, she died. Now this doctor has autism, so he's very, very persistent, I guess, and he wanted to do a autopsy, and they just kept saying no because we know why she died, right? And she didn't have any listed family. So he points out the fact that she's in her 60s. She has a knee replacement from about 30 years ago, meaning that she had a knee replacement around the age of 30, okay? Not completely normal. Then he notes that she has a large amount of cavities and a large amount of dental implants. Okay? So then when he finally, long story short, gets the autopsy done, when he's examining the liver, he finds 3 aneurysms in the hepatic artery, the liver artery. So that confirms, an aneurysm issue. And then to go back and talk about the carotid arteries, it's a vascular issue. So it puts it together, and she does actually have a son, it turns out. He goes to the son's house and says, hey, do you have a lot of cavities? And the guy's like, what? So he explains it all, and he said, you might have vascular EDS because it is hereditary. So, like I said, the episode is kind of long, and it's not quite put together very well, I didn't think. So that I just wanted to give you a summary of it. It is vascular EDS, and EDS, I know it's not EDS Awareness Month, it's Marfan Month, but we're cousins, pretty much. And EDS has been, I think, probably all of the major medical dramas and primetime dramas within the last 2 years, let's say. Even the comedy show, like Dr. Ken, I think is what it's called. So EDS is getting a lot of awareness, both publicly in TV. There's a lot of celebrities coming out that are saying that they have it. A beauty queen, just there's a lot of awareness being spread about that publicly. Okay, so we need to figure out a way to put Marfan in that spotlight. I don't know if you read my post from earlier, but I went to my cardiologist, my local cardiologist, and she doesn't even know how to say. She calls it like Marfans, like Fonzie from Happy Days. Long story short, she was not interested in hearing anything about it whatsoever. Okay, because I even offered to do like a training for the office. Didn't want to hear about it. I'm only one of 2 patients, so why would they want to learn about it? Anywho, that further strengthens my point that we need to make it more public. I don't know exactly how to do that because obviously I don't work at ABC or something like that. However, I do think that just us sending awareness out all throughout the year and not just in February will definitely help, but we've got a long road ahead of us. And yes, I'm in West Virginia. And yes, we are very far behind on the learning curve. So I do expect all of these doctors and hospitals to not know what it is. And if they do, they know that it's tall, skinny, long, lanky arms, long fingers. Maybe you might have a heart issue, and that's about it. Okay? So I explained to her, slow metabolism hits us too. So when we get older, we're not all skinny. So you can't use that. Like, that's what people tell me all the time. You can't use that. That's not a standardized measurement. It's just not. So we need to get it more public. Doctors are only learning like a paragraph, which is ridiculous. But I just saw a story earlier, I won't go into details, but in larger areas, larger hospitals that should be very well versed in these disorders are not, or they're not interested, or they don't want to listen, or they know better, or so on and so forth. So now I always preach self-advocacy, right? And she brought up an interesting point earlier. I said, you have to drive the point home. You have to make them listen. She didn't want to give me a abdominal ultrasound, just an echo, and needless to say, I came out of there with an order for both because I'm persistent. However, in this particular case that I'm referencing, that's not always possible. Like, even as much as you want to push the point and drive it home, be your advocate, all of that, sometimes it doesn't matter. Okay? So my advice to this person was my best way that I've found to make people listen and believe me, sad to say, but believe me, is to go in with my medical binder. Like, yes, the Backpack Health app is great, but there's something to say for going into a doctor's office or a hospital or an emergency room with a 2-inch binder full of anything they could possibly need. Also, having information from the foundation so that they don't think that you just pulled it off of Google and diagnosed yourself. Okay? They have a whole lot harder time questioning and basically telling you that you're crazy if you have all of that information with you. Okay, maybe it's an emergency and you can't have it with you, but if you can, you need to, because it does help. Self-advocacy, it's different for everyone. That's just 2 examples that I can give you right now, but I did want to give you a summary of that TV show and again drive home the point that not just vascular, but EDS in general is getting a whole lot of spotlight recently, which is wonderful. I mean, absolutely wonderful. But we need spotlight too. So let's work on it. It's still Marfan Awareness Month. So at the very least, let's get some awareness out this month. Let's try to teach at least someone that maybe they could save someone's life. And yeah, that sounds very dramatic, but it's true. Like, even people in my family, I'm like, you don't have to admit that you have it. You don't have to acknowledge it, but just get tested. Just get an echo. Because literally, if you don't know, you could die. No big deal. You could die. I mean, yeah, you could die of anything. True. And that's a point that people have made to me before. However, if it's something that you can monitor and control to a certain degree, why would you not? And the only way that you're going to know that you need monitoring is if you know. You only know what you know. So we need to tell and inform and get education out. Not just awareness, but education. So that people know. So that we can lower that. I think it's like half of the people that actually have it know that they have it. That's ridiculous. So let's work on changing that.